And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm taking a look at Belle of the Ball, a fancy schmancy card game for 2 to 4 players. This is from Dice Hate Me Games. Okay, maybe I had a secret crush on Belle when I was a kid from Beauty and the Beast, but I don't know. The Belle of the Ball, let's just say that this would be harder for me to get to many of my gaming groups tables, although I was able to do so. And I like the idea of it, the idea of throwing a party and trying to get people to come to your party. And the Belle can be very helpful because she shows up at all the parties and she's dazzling and witty and charming and also kind of annoying and also kind of a diva apparently and wants everything to revolve around her. Let's take a look. It's a very simple card game. Here you go. Alright, there's 3 cards that are put together. These are to keep score. You're trying to throw this massive party here, and each player starts with 3 guests. So let's take a look at each of these guests. Now, some guests are lords and ladies. This matters for a few cards, and those cards have different colors. They also have ridiculous names. Here you can see Penny Puzzle Mask, Maybe Mumble Call, and Original or Black. Alright, well, what have you. Each of these people likes to talk about different things. You can see all 3 of these ladies like to talk about love and romance. This lady likes to talk about food and likes to talk about, I don't know what that symbol stands for, some sort of awards and fame. She likes to talk about world travel, and they both like to drink. So everyone has different things. What you're doing is you have 3 groups. And as the game progresses, when a group is full, you're going to score for it. So let's say Mumblecore Masherfax and Waffle Wumple and Zanzibar Zinfenfire all join this group. When there's 4 people in a group, or there's 4 cards, because other cards can be put into a group, that group is going to score for things that are the same. So here you can see there's 3 hearts that are the same, so that's 3 points, 3 cheese, that's the same, 3 points, and 3 award symbols there. So this group would score 9 points. They are then discarded, and the game continues. Now, what players do on your turn is the first thing you do is you can play a Belle card. You're going to start with one of these and you can get more of them. Belle cards are added to a group. Now, they're usually added to your own group or an opponent's group. So this one here, the Belle, there's this Belle, this is her. Here she is too. Looks like she has slipped, given up on the beast. But anyhow, here you take a guest from anywhere in line for no cost. This counts as your invitation. So if I play this, I can take a guest from anywhere in line. Here the Belle thanks you for your contribution. Here you score 1 point when another player takes a regret, as long as this card is in your party. So as long as this Belle is one of the cards in one of my parties, I get a special ability. Sometimes cards do other things. The Belle forbids politics. She doesn't want to hear about that nonsense. So you put her in a group, and when this group scores, do not count any of the politics symbols in that group. So you would put that in someone else's. So the first thing you do in your turn is you can play a Belle card. Then you have the opportunity to take one of these cards. There's 2 lines of cards here. You see there's a line of Belle cards, and there is a line of guest cards. At the beginning of the game, each player gets 3 guest cards, which on the back side are letters. These are regrets. I'm sorry, can't come. You have to take the bottom card of either row on your turn. However, you can skip that if you pay a regret for each one that you skip. So let's say I want Jingle Bell Jittersend, the Fool of Boar's End. I can take her, but I have to put a regret on each of these. Anybody who takes one of those in the future will get the regrets that they can use later on to bypass other cards. And the same thing with the Belle cards. When you take a guest, you immediately have to put that guest in one of your parties. When you take a Belle card, you put that in your hand, and you can use it on a future turn. The game is going to continue until all the cards from the guest line are gone. At that point, players are going to look at their total scores that they've gotten. They'll get half a point for any card they have left, which is not nearly as good as the points you could have gotten, and whoever has the most points is the winner. There's some other things that you can add to the game for advanced play. One of the things you can do is you can deal guests to players at the beginning of a round, and they can draft them. So you can get 3 guests, and you can put them in any order. You don't have to have 3 groups. You can put 2 in one group and 1 in the other, etc. And then the other 3 guests, that you'll draw 6. You'll pick 3 to start with. The other 3 become your initial regrets. And players will also draft the Belle cards. You also get these county cards. You'll notice here, this is the Flappin' Cap, the Glitterfall, the Crinkle, and the Jamshire families. You're going to put a token on each of these, and each time you score a guest from this country, each time you score a guest who's from that area, and all the cards from different areas, you'll move it over so you can get bonus points for scoring the different families. You're going to get 2 of these cards at the beginning of a game. You pick which one you want to be your family. The other one you'll flip over, and it basically gives you a special ability. Here, this starts on the side. I start with 4 points I'll get at the end of the game, but anytime I want, I can get rid of a guest from the line. Every time I do that, though, I have to pay a point. So there's different special abilities, like, for example, this one here. I can move one of my guests from one group to another group. If I never use this, 5 points, but every time I use it, it's going to drop me some points. Also, there's a special Belle's favorite card that you can give to somebody that lets you take any Belle card in the line. And then there's these grifter dudes. See this guy? He is a loser. This man burger head burger man. You don't want this guy at your party. You don't even want him designing your games. But if you put him in a party, he gives you 3 points. Or you can put him in one of your opponent's parties, in which case he's worth 0. You turn him upside down to show that. And because if you turn him upside down, that's one weird-looking beard. Anyhow, those are different things that you can add to the game. First of all, I really think you should play the advanced game. Play with the families, play with the slackers, or whatever they're called. Play with all the different options. That makes the game a lot better. I love the main concept of the game, especially with these regrets. Not only is it thematic, I regret I can't come, but I love that concept of you can take a card that's higher in line, but you have to pay to do so. And it's a closed money system, so you're playing with, let's say you're playing with 4 players, you have 12 of these floating around. The artwork is phenomenal. The names are, for the most part, silly and charming. There are a few that are just silly, but it's entertaining, and there's this whole, why, welcome to the ball thing. The scoring works really well, too. You're trying to get those up there. And the Belle cards are interesting. However, the Belle cards are both the strong and the weak point of the game. A Belle is a strong point of the game because of the cool things you can do with them, and because you can hurt somebody else or help yourself out, and knowing when to best use these cards is great. But they're weak point of the game because players are taking cards each turn, and you can take a Belle card or you can take a family card. It is almost always better to take a family card, really, especially if you take a Belle card that hurts an opponent. Because you can take one and hurt an opponent, ha ha ha, I did that to you, and that's entertaining and interesting, but you're doing it at the cost of doing something good for yourself. You're taking a card to hurt someone, and you could have added another family member, which could have been 2, 3, or 4 points to your group, and give that up just to knock someone else down, especially in a multiplayer game. In every game I play with these, we've never gone through many of these. Some people take them, and sometimes there's good ones that people will take. I actually prefer the rulebook has a 5-player variant where you mix them up and have them in one line, and I think that's a much better thing, because then the Belle cards are being pushed down the line and people will take those because they can't afford the family cards. And that's the way I would highly recommend playing this if possible. But still recognize this is a light game. You're going to make the jokes and stuff and have the thematic flair to the game. And I don't mind that. This is a very solid little light game. Like I said, you can play with all the advanced stuff and it's still light, and I get the most enjoyment out of that. And if I think from now on when I play it, I'm just going to mix the decks together and have one line in the middle, because that will make the Belle cards get used more often. But even with them not being used as much, the game still is a solid pick. Has a very unique theme, has entertaining thematic flavor in it, the names and pictures and so on, and I think you'll be able to get folks to play this. Not everybody. I mean, if the guys next to you are playing Memoir 44, they're probably not likely to move on to this next, but I still think there's a good audience for this one, and I applaud any company that doesn't do the same old. Belle of the Ball. It is kind of fancy. I don't know if it's schmancy, though.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!